You are listening to Thrival Nutrition Podcast, episode 71. Welcome to the Thrival Nutrition Podcast with me as your host, Lahana Vigliano. We talk all things holistic living, real food nutrition, fitness, herbs, essential oils, and so much more. I'm here to make your holistic lifestyle simple, easy, and fun for you and your family. I am beyond thrilled that you are here. So let's go over and hop over to today's episode. Hi guys, happy Tuesday. I have a really awesome episode for you today. I think it's just a really cool niche, and you don't have to, have a Vitamix, as you've seen on the title. You don't have to have one to make certain things, but there is benefits, and we're going to be talking about the benefits of Vitamix, and then just like blender things. I'm just going to say blender things, but we have Mr. and Mrs. Vitamix. At least that's what they call themselves. Lenny and Shalva Gale. And they are just talking with us about different things that you can make. And I'm talking about everything, especially with the Vitamix, from soups to desserts like ice cream, healthy smoothies and juices, and not even just that, but just, using the Vitamix for so much more than, pureed stuff. And it was a really cool time to talk to them because I really love their niche, especially with using the blender, the Vitamix, like every day in their life, right? And I tell you a little bit of my story about how I got my Vitamix, but now having it, I for sure hands down can say that I use it every day of my life. So before we get started, I wanted to actually promote a plant protein that I find fitting for this episode, but that I found that I actually like. Yeah, can you believe that? I actually am like a whey protein girl. I'm just grass-fed whey. It's all the way, take whey all the way. But this company reached out and I really wanted to try them. I'm always willing to give second chances. I've just been burned so many times with plant proteins. I'm not even joking. I've tried a lot of them and they're either too chalky, they taste gross. I don't know. I could never really find one that I loved, to be completely honest. So that's why I never really promoted one or partnered up with one. And then, so this company reached out, I tried them, and they gave me like 4 samples of each flavor, the chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, and coffee. And I tasted it, and I was actually pleasantly surprised. It's still, I wouldn't say it's as smooth as whey, but it's not even close to most of the chalky plant proteins out there. The quality is really strict and regulated, and it comes just from pea protein. And not only was I pleasantly surprised by the taste, which is obviously a big part of liking a plant protein or any protein for that matter, it's got to taste good, right? But the ingredients were really fantastic. There was literally on the ingredient list, I want to say 5 ingredients, maybe less if you got like the vanilla one, maybe there's 3, but the ingredients were super clean. And that's just something that I look for, is the taste and the ingredients. And even like the strawberry, it's just natural. Everything's just natural. There's no artificial. So my favorite actually turned out to be the coffee one because it just was really, really good. So I've been using that in some of my post-workout smoothies and stuff, and I'll be making more recipes with it. But I want you guys to check it out. So if you've been looking for a plant protein, if you are vegan, vegetarian, you try to be plant-based as much as you can. It is now in my rhythm of switching it up. Some days I'll do whey, some days I'll do this. So you can go to newzest-usa.com and you can actually go in the show notes, and then I have a link that'll take you right to their website, and use the code Thrival Nutrition, all one word, THRIVALNUTRITION, all one word, and that will actually help you get 15% off your order, as well as free shipping over $50. So go check them out. I just found this really fitting because we're talking tons of plant-based stuff. Lenny said a lot of good recipes in this episode. He said like his queso and just so many, like just the soups and the ice cream they did. I was really encouraged to like go make a green smoothie after I talked to them. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode. It's awesome. So I'd love to get a rating, a review after you listen to it. And just that's how I get your feedback from you guys. And so I would love that and appreciate that so much. So go ahead and enjoy. Hi, Shalva and Lenny. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast this week. How are you?
Good. Yeah, great.
Awesome. So I'm so glad that you reached out to me. When I started looking at your site, I loved it. It's such a unique niche, and I think that's awesome. And so before I get into it, just introduce yourself, who you are, and what you do.
Yeah, people affectionately know me as Mr. Vitamix, and now Shalva, as my wife, is now Mrs. Vitamix, I guess. Yeah, we at Life is No Yoke. We blend plants. This is our specialty. We've found that it is the best way for people to make a positive change, to take a step in the right direction, to achieve their goals, to deal with meal planning, to deal with if they're struggling with weight loss, if needing to get some more energy during the day. This is like, you can do a million things, and people can put the fire hose at you and tell you all the things to do. And we basically say, hey, get yourself a daily blend of something. And it really doesn't matter what blender it is. We recommend a daily blend to make the biggest impact, to put you on the right path for success.
Awesome. And you can introduce yourself too, Shalva. Mrs.
I'm
Vitamix.
Shalva. I am the other half of Life is No Yoke. So, like Lenny said, we're really concentrated on getting people to get healthy things into their bodies. We have a weekly newsletter we send out with new plant-based recipes every week. We run a course, a Vitamix 101 course. So, really, our goal, what we do for a living, is help people choose the right machine for them and then help them use it to its best advantage. It's a big investment, and we want to make sure that people really are using it. So we kind of have a community of people that we support with showing them how to blend, showing people how to continue using it for more than just smoothies.
That's awesome. I just got my Vitamix last year, so this past Christmas. And so it's so funny. My husband, he like filled my stocking with like a Dr. Bronner's lotion and something else. It was like, that's it. And we weren't expecting to get each other big gifts at all. I actually wasn't expecting. I was like, that's fine. Like, it's about the kids. I don't really care. And then I was a little disappointed, but then I was like, whatever. And so he comes out, he actually had it shipped to his mom's, and then she like hid it for me. And he comes out with this big box, and it's a Vitamix. I was just so excited because we were always like just buying like $20 blenders. Like, I don't know. I think we've bought in a Ninja too, but I remember something like broke or melted. It was just weird, and we just never really invested into it. And so when I got it, I was like hugging the box. I was so excited. So I will never go back now.
Right. It's so hard for people to take a leap of faith. And that's why we say, like, get started with whatever you have. Everyone has a blender sitting somewhere gathering dust. If it's a $19 Oster that was handed down to them or that they got at a garage sale, that's where you have to start. You have to create this desire for a change in your lifestyle, to make a daily green juice or even a protein shake a part of what you do, who you are, and then you can take it to the next level. Like you say, maybe you try a Ninja with some success or not. Maybe you try Nutri-Wellness. Whatever it is, once you get once you get into having that be your lifestyle, then you can really be ready to say, hey, okay, I'm going to take the plunge. I'm ready. I know this investment is going to be worth it. And your life is, your life is forever changed.
Definitely. We'll be talking about the Vitamix a lot. So I want you to share with us kind of like why this blender. And like you said, if someone doesn't have a Vitamix, can they still do all the things that we're going to talk about? Can they still do it today? But why the Vitamix? I'm just curious.
Why the Vitamix? Well, look, the Vitamix is, first of all, this thing's been around for, I think, 75 years. And they are still a family business. They're based outside of Cleveland, Ohio. They're assembled and manufactured here in the States. And these are the machines that they're identical. The ones you can buy, if you go to Vitamix.com, you go to their website and buy for your household, they're the exact same machines as what you find in thousands of quick serve restaurants, Starbucks, I think Jamba Juice, Smoothie King. The smoothies that you buy in the store that taste so good, and the whole food juices, the reason that they taste so good is not the ingredients, it's not the recipe, it's the machine that they were made in. And the machines that they use are identical to the ones that you have, Lana, that you have in your house. And
That's
so
awesome.
that's the difference, is that they are commercial grade. They are built to perform incredibly from day one till day like 8,000. Really, and here's the big difference. The blades on the Vitamix are laser cut, so they're not sharp. They come actually pretty dull, and so the difference is that when you put fruit and greens and seeds in your Vitamix, they're actually not sliced; they're pulverized. And so that's the big difference. When you get a machine that has blades that are sharp, they can work okay for a day or two, but then those blades get dull. Not to mention the risk that you're running of having to clean those blades. Another difference. The blade in the Vitamix, you know this, Lahana, they're fixed to the container.
Which, by the way, I love the cleaning process with the Vitamix.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. People don't realize with a $20 machine, with a $100 machine, you have to take apart all the parts. You have to get out a toothbrush and clean the blade without cutting yourself. You have to clean like the seal, the insides of where they screw together.
Yeah.
Cleaning the Vitamix is the easiest thing in the world. A couple drops of soap and a little bit of warm water, and you're done.
Yes.
And like that's a total game changer when you sort of step up to the next level, getting a Vitamix.
But with that said, I know part of your question is, do you need a Vitamix to live this lifestyle? And the answer is absolutely no. You certainly do not need one. The majority of our recipes you can do in a $20 blender. There are a few that the Vitamix definitely helps make better. The one I can think of is when we make like nice cream with frozen bananas and frozen berries. Like, we put all frozen ingredients in, use the tamper, and we can eat ice cream then. A lot of other blenders, you have to use some sort of liquid and then freeze it and eat it later. That's really all I can think of, other than soups also, which I don't know if you've done soups yet, Lahana, but
I've done one.
It's so fun because the Vitamix actually, by means of using friction, heats it up. And so we make soups probably once a week. We make a soup in our house, maybe even twice a week. Yeah. And that is something that another blender can't do. It can certainly make, you can follow our recipe and make the soup in a blender and then pour it into a pot and heat it up, no problem. But I think the only two things that you would have trouble making from our website would be nice cream and soup.
Right.
But otherwise, you can totally live this lifestyle.
Totally. Even our famous queso, you can make in any blender and then heat up on the stove.
Exactly.
Exactly. I'm going to have to look into that. Yeah, I remember when I did make my one soup, and it was like, I opened up the blender and it was like, steaming. I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, that's the wow moment when you see a live demonstration, when the demonstrator takes the lid off and the steam comes off. People are like, whoa. But it also really helps us save time and energy on dishes. I mean, if you don't have to use a pot, that's great. But with that said, a $20 blender is going to make the same soup. You just need to heat it up on a different source. So it's an awesome way to just start eating healthy by having a cheap blender in your house.
Right. So I know you mentioned soup. So tell us more about how you make your meals with Vitamix. Kind of share with us, how you can get creative and you can meal plan with it.
Sure. So I do most of the meal planning in our house.
Me too.
But Lenny's looking at me like, yes, you do all the meal planning. We start every day with a juice or a smoothie. That's the easiest thing. We have tons of fresh fruit, vegetables, and frozen fruit at our disposal, and we can just throw whatever in. There is no planning involved with that because we have all the things on hand. Mm-hmm. With lunches and dinners, obviously it takes a little bit more prep, but we do for lunches quite a few spreads and dips. We make a lot of hummuses. Lenny talked already about his famous queso. It's like a nuts and red pepper. It's dairy free. Lenny's completely dairy free, so it's a really good alternative for him. And then we make a lot of nut butters too. So a lot of our lunches consist of dipping vegetables into delicious spreads and dips. And then dinners, lots of soups. We obviously do enjoy chewing food also. So, I can't pretend like we make all of our meals in the Vitamix, but we do make quite a few of the pieces of the meals in a Vitamix. I make a lot of homemade dressings. So if we're going to just do a big salad for lunch one day, we just made a blueberry balsamic vinaigrette that I just blitzed up in our smaller container in the Vitamix, and it was so good. Fresh blueberries, amazing.
So good.
Yeah. So that's kind of how we roll with it. We try to use it as often as possible. It's part of a lot of our meals, but it's not necessarily, we're not drinking 3 smoothies a day.
Right. And I mean, you can do more than just like puree stuff, obviously. You can like make cauliflower rice, right? Like you can kind of chop, kind of like a food processor would do.
Yeah, exactly. So, one of the things that's really nice is that we find like you can, people say, okay, how do I get full without eating bread? Okay. Well, if you can make a hearty salad that has cabbage or cauliflower, you're gonna feel more full than you ever have before, without that feeling of being comatose and needing to be rolled off the couch. And so to do that, we make things like a detox salad, which has cauliflower, kale, carrots, cabbage, and avocado dressing. We'll make a giant batch of that using our Vitamix to process the vegetables. So as a food processor would. We also make, to your point, cauliflower rice. So we'll take cauliflower, we'll turn it into rice, and make cauliflower fried rice. What other food processing stuff we do? I mean, you can chop onions. We do.
We make our giardiniera.
Oh, giardiniera. Yeah, that's kind of a fun project. It's a spicy, pickled sort of vegetable.
It's a very Chicago thing.
It's a very Chicago thing, yeah.
It comes on Chicago hot dogs. It's like a spicy pickle relish made with tiny chopped vegetables. So
we don't have a food processor anymore, and we use our Vitamix as a food processor. And one of the nice things is with this detox salad, with a cauliflower rice type of thing, we make a giant batch, and then it's good that night, but then the next day, and then 2 days later for lunches to take with us, even leftover dinner. So we kind of get some of the burden of meal planning taken away by batching our prep earlier in the week.
Definitely. Oh my gosh, yes. Like leftover dinners are usually, I always try to like make 1 or 2 extra at dinner. So like leftovers for lunch. Yeah. Lunch is usually like the hardest. I would like, you have your breakfast foods. And I know like I just ate leftovers for breakfast, actually, like my cauliflower quote unquote fried rice. And like, so you can totally have that for breakfast. But I always love batch cooking. It just makes it so much easier. How, like with your salad dressings, do you make like a whole bottle of it like at a time?
So we have a smaller container. It's a 32-ounce container. So the batch size can be much smaller. We do make at least, 4 servings at a time just to make sure that it blends correctly. One of the cool things that's coming out that Lenny and I geeked out about for, 2 hours when Vitamix told us about this is that they're coming out with an 8-ounce container.
To fit onto a full-size machine on the new Ascent line.
Oh my god!
So you can have your full-size Vitamix and put this tiny container on it, and the machine reads that it's just an 8-ounce container, so it's not going to give it like its full power. But I got so excited thinking about making small batches of things like dressings and spice rubs, and sometimes I just want to crush up some peanuts to put on top of. We make like a pad thai spaghetti squash thing, and I take like a hammer to a bag of peanuts and and just being able to put it in an 8-ounce jar and blitz it for a second is so exciting. But
That's awesome.
I think the dressing game will be really great with that smaller container available.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a really great option to have. So I know you mentioned the ice cream, but like, how do you have fun in the kitchen with it? I hope you mentioned a little bit more sweets, because when I bought mine, I saw that you can make ice cream, like you said. I never attempted it yet though, but I'm just curious on like fun, kind of like out of the box things that you make with the Vitamix.
Yeah, so my like passion is actually baking. I love baking.
Me too.
I got really good at it after several years, and then met Lenny, and he's mostly vegan at this point. I'm like, oh man, like the eggs, butter, like that's a big challenge. But we use our Vitamix to do quite a few baking projects. Actually, this morning, Lenny made our banana bread, and so that we can pack it on the road for a road trip. So we use it as you would a KitchenAid or whatever. But we have a ton of fun with it. I mean, we do a lot of kind of live demonstrations. We will go on Facebook Live and have people watch, us making something in the kitchen. But one thing that people don't think of a lot is that you can make awesome cocktails in your Vitamix. So I'll have friends over and I'll throw a whole grapefruit and a bunch of tequila and triple sec in the blender with some ice. And now we've got like the kind of margaritas that you would get at a restaurant. I had friends over the other night, and one of my girlfriends was attempting a sugar-free, dairy-free, carb-free type diet, but she was craving ice cream. And I was like, well, I've got some frozen bananas and some fresh raspberries. Let's see what we can do. And my two girlfriends were in awe of how quick I could make them a delicious, like ice cream style treat that they could get at a local ice cream shop. They were so impressed. They were blown away.
Yeah, and these are two very skeptical gals.
Oh yeah. I mean, they were like, oh, okay, I'm sure those fruits that you're throwing in there are going to be so delicious, Shalva.
Yeah.
And I think I sold them both Vitamixes.
Right.
Like, they were so impressed.
Right.
That's
Right.
awesome.
Yeah.
And so you are expecting, so I bet you're having a ton of fun with like just doing like prenatal stuff with the Vitamix too.
Definitely. It's interesting. It's I've been very, very fortunate to be feeling really well so far. I'm on week 18 and so far have been feeling great, but I'm exhausted. And so the Vitamix has actually been really helping me, and just, eating healthy in this lifestyle has been helping me keep my energy up. I do a green juice every morning. Lenny makes me a green juice. It's very sweet.
I'm in charge of the green juice in the house.
Yeah. And the coffee, which only he drinks now, but it really helps me kind of keep my energy up. But I'm most looking forward to making baby food. I'm so excited to do baby foods and prove to everyone that it's not that hard.
And it's probably so much better than the baby bullet.
Yes, it definitely is, especially when that smaller container comes out. That's going to be key for making baby food. Right now, Lenny's sisters both have
Full size.
the full-size blenders, and I thought you were talking about the kids, full-size kids.
No, they're pretty mini.
No, they're pretty small. They're 18-month-old kids, and they have been making baby food, but they kind of gave up on it because it was more of a challenge to make a big batch, pour it into ice cube trays, freeze them, heat them up when you wanted to use them. So I'm really excited to utilize the 8-ounce container and use all fresh foods that, we can go to the farmer's market and grab something and feed it to our kid the next hour.
Yes.
So excited about that.
Definitely. Yeah, we did baby-led weaning this time around. I did like the whole pureed thing with my son, and then I looked into BLW. It was a little bit nerve-wracking because they don't have like the teeth yet and stuff, but it was so much easier too of just like feeding them what you eat. Like you don't have to, make a whole separate meal or get the little packets and just feed them that. It's so how you guys eat, like you'll be able to just like, this is done all right, perfect. Like this is maybe puree up a little bit, but it'll be really easy.
That's a great point. And even as they get a little older, right now my sister, she's got an 18-month-old, and she just texted me my son drinks, she goes, my son drinks spicy green juice like it's macaroni and cheese. And I'm like, yes, that is my nephew. That is incredible. And to your point, it's less about, like, you don't have to focus on making baby food necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for the most part, if it's not super spicy, if you can kind of just share food with your baby.
Yeah. As long as what you're eating is healthy, which it is.
Yeah, assuming you're using whole foods, your kid can eat it. Like, if it's not whole grapes, like, you're good to go, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's so funny about your nephew. My daughter is like a kombucha addict. I don't know where she got it from. I have to like limit her, or she will just down bottles of kombucha. I'm like,
that's
just
so
nuts.
Fun. That's an interesting flavor profile for a child.
It is, and maybe it's just because they never had soda or anything. I don't know. Maybe they just like the sweet, tarty, carbonated, I don't know, taste.
That's awesome.
So you're mentioning coffee, which is awesome. What about that coffee substitute you were telling me about? Tell me more about that.
Oh, yeah. Well, the coffee substitute is green juice. With this green juice that we make, first of all, it doesn't taste like salad. I think a lot of people are skeptical of green juice. Ooh, weird. It tastes gross.
Yeah.
The green juice that we make is, I think it tastes more like candy. We just made one this morning in addition to the banana bread. I told you earlier, we're getting in the car. We're driving to Minnesota to go up to the lake with family. We pack a car full of green juice. We have the banana bread, like we said. This green juice, how do you describe it? Every green juice we make has lemon, ginger, and sometimes a little spicy. It's loaded with fruit, greens, and then seeds. That's our formula. We have a YouTube video showing exactly how to do it in any blender. But the key with this is it's so good, and there are so many nutrients that you're getting in such a hurry. Because it's so delicious, you're like you just want to chug this delicious green juice that it opens your eyes like no other stimulant can do. So when it comes to feeling the need for coffee, I've found that a delicious green juice in the morning is I don't even feel the need for coffee anymore.
It's an energizing thing, and it's without using caffeine. And I mean, for probably a year, I have been barely drinking coffee because my mornings start with green juice instead. And if there's a day where I'm like, oh man, I have a lot going on today, I've got a full day of work and then plans after work, and I'm going to try to get a workout in, whatever it is, sometimes I'll use a green tea as a base for my green smoothie. So I do get a little kick of caffeine on top of all the goodness and energy that the fresh greens and seeds and things are providing me. But that's a good trick too, is using a green tea base in a smoothie.
Instead of water or a nut milk or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, that's such a good idea. One thing I love about the Vitamix too, that you're like kind of talking about like green juices, is that I just love blending things, whole foods together, but because you're getting like the fiber, and like if you're using fruits, it's slowing down the absorption, versus like if you use a juicer, you're kind of taking, just kind of the sugar content out of it and the juice, but you're leaving like all the fiber to slow the absorption. So I do love the Vitamix in that way of making juices and smoothies and stuff, because you're getting like the whole food and not just, I guess, one part of it.
We totally agree. I think fiber is a little known, ingredient that you really need in your diet, and people remove it from themselves quite often. And we put whole foods in, we drink whole foods out. That fiber is so important, and people don't know how big of a difference it makes in your health and wellness.
Yeah, I think people go around saying, ooh, I need to get more protein. Ooh, I really should be maybe drinking more water. I think if people got more fiber, more people are fiber deficient than I think any other thing. And I think if they addressed that concern, so many other things would be cleared up for them.
Yeah.
Okay, to get the fiber, you have to eat more whole foods. So what are you going to do? You're going to eat some fruit, or you're going to blend something. Fiber is the answer to really, it fixes so many problems, and people don't realize how deficient you really are.
Definitely.
Generally.
And I mean, it's just our culture is so into like processed foods and bagged foods that are already ready. And I still get like, some packaged foods that are healthier, more on the healthy side, like Jackson's Honest Chips or something, sweet potatoes and coconut oil and all that stuff. But for the majority of our diet, it's whole foods. And I just feel like people just, they're not having, salads and just vegetables. They're just the amount of vegetables people eat is just so low. And when we were actually moving and we were driving, we kind of had a day of the standard American diet, because actually all my food that I tried to bring went bad in my cooler. But so I was like, well, let's just have a standard American diet day. And by the end, I was just like, I don't know how people do this. I'm like dying and craving vegetables inside. So when we had to stop at Chick-fil-A, I loved their salads. And I was like, I'm just getting a salad. Yeah. Like, I don't even want to eat another fried thing, breaded thing. I need vegetables.
Well, and that's a thing I think that people don't recognize is that when you start eating healthy, that your body will start telling you, you don't like this anymore. Like, yes, Chick-fil-A is delicious, but if you've already had McDonald's today, your body's going to be like, please don't do this to me. And it knows that. It learns that after a while. And I remember the first time that happened to me, I ordered a big bowl of mac and cheese at Noodles and Company, which is my favorite. And I ate half the bowl and I was like, I don't feel well. Like, I have started to train my body to not want this anymore. And that was like a moment I was proud of myself. I was like, wow, I've gotten my body trained to the point where it knows that this doesn't feel good.
And you're listening to your body.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, you guys brought really great tips and advice, and I'm actually encouraged to go make like a green juice right now. Can you let our listeners know where they can find you? And I'll make sure to put all your links in the show notes too.
Yeah, lifeisnoyoke.com. You can find all of our stuff there. We are here to help people get into a lifestyle of whole foods that's more focused on plant-based eating. And this is our passion. This is what we do. Our job, the way that we pay the bills, is selling the Vitamix machine, but we still want to connect if you're not there yet. Come say hello. We have a ton of resources. And when the time comes that you're ready to take the plunge, we want to help you. We have a promotion code that gets you a whole bunch of stuff. It gets us credit for the sale, and it gets us, the ability to do stuff like this. Our YouTube channel, we have a ton of videos there. We have our Instagram has nearly 10,000 followers, a strong community there. And, really, our newsletter is where we pour the most love in. Every single week, every Saturday, we have a handful of delicious blender recipes, some personal updates, some links that we think are interesting, news articles. So it's our newsletter is what we are most proud of and what people tell us that they get the most joy from. So all those things, go to lifeisnoyoke.com. Connect with us. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to help you out and be friends.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for coming on. It was a pleasure talking to you.
All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Lana.
The contents of this podcast are for educational purposes only. This information is not intended to replace a one-on-one relationship with a qualified healthcare professional, and it is not intended for medical advice. This is the sharing of knowledge and information from education, research, and experience. I am not a registered dietitian or physician. I encourage you to make your own healthcare decisions based on your research and partnership with a healthcare professional. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next week.